Good afternoon and welcome to Midnight's Edge. This is Tom and we're talking Picard episode 9. As you may have noticed, I think Andre is actively avoiding watching the show. But that's all right. We've got a few other people here who have seen it. Unfortunately, like Script Doctor. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing okay. How is everybody else doing tonight?
And Earthman Jack, author himself, Matthew Kadish.
Hi, everyone.
And joining us just clutch at the last second here, Critical Drinker. How you doing, sir?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing the best we can. It's a pleasure to have you as always. And of course, the voice of Midnight's Edge, Rob, right next to him there. And on the end, Mr. H Reviews. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, good, thank you.
So we got a full panel, and we got one episode to talk about and one episode to go. And I think we're all just about ready to give up on this crap.
There's just one episode left, and then it's over.
And then it's over. So I guess let's
season 2.
I guess let's start on the end with Mr. H. Real quickly, give us your overall view of this fine episode.
Well, I mean, this some of this stuff should have been some of this stuff should have been a lot earlier in the series. I'm sure everyone can agree with that. They've really drawn all of this out. So from a narrative perspective, it's a no-brainer. We all know that it's really, really bad in that respect. But it's also really, really bad from just how the performances and down to the music and just how they've been building this particular episode in and unto itself as well. I mean, you've got emotional beats of what I could presume was supposed to be emotional, but because earlier in the series there was nothing which was actually building any emotional connection with the audience and the characters and the journey and such, it just fell completely flat. I mean, I don't care that Romulin is saying that I love you to Soji. Don't really care. The fact that they managed to get weapons online on that Borg ship, and they were like, oh my god, there's 200, like there was no hope there, there was no fear there. It's just flat. Very, very flat, very dumb, lots of wasted potential. I mean, and again, narrative perspective, you've now got Dr. Sung's son. He should be older than Picard. He should be a lot older than Picard, because how old was Dr. fucking Sung in the Next Generation? He was really old, wasn't he?
Well, he said that he had him the day he created Data or something like that. So he was at least as old as Data was supposed to be.
Well, fuck, my Dr. Sung's got super sperm. Jesus, Did you see what I mean? Like, that's unbelievable. And that was wasted opportunity. Have it be Law. I mean, make it be Law. Maybe Law's found a way to age. I don't know, something. It was just a whole lot of wasted nothingness. But look, Picard finally stood up for himself for a change. He did actually say, don't treat me like a dying man or you're going to piss me off. I was like, oh, hooray!
And then everyone treats him like a dying man.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was that weird moment with Raffi, like, I love you. And I'm like, what? Have I missed this? They hated each other.
Weird stroke.
Yeah.
But they literally hated each other.
Yeah, I never got the chemistry between them at all. That just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, anyway, supposedly they had a lot of history before they had the falling out, which that was coming up with. But I felt like if Picard hadn't told her that he loved her, that would have been more in keeping with his character.
They could have just played it for laughs at that point.
Because he's like, I don't have to, and then he should have been like, good, because I already do, and then just walked away or something like that. Yeah.
Tom, you should be writing the show.
Right? No shit.
Anyway, there you go.
I would just have Picard say, who are you again?
Yeah, right. So, Rob, real quick, were your subversions, expectations, and all that shit met?
Were my subversions expected?
Yes.
No, but I am out of F's to give. I'm out of fucks to give. I really am. There's just no anger left in me.
We killed Rob.
Yeah. Well, okay. You know what
has broken a lot of spirits.
I will say one thing positive about the show. It was about this episode. It was well paced. That's it.
I don't even know if you could say that.
Well, but maybe I watched it at 1.5 speed.
Yeah, I felt like there was like in terms of like the actual events of the story, there was an awful lot of like, okay, let's sit down and have another conversation about something. Like I didn't really get the feeling that there was like this approaching threat that they had to like move quickly to deal with, and that it was kind of a race against time situation. It was very slow, methodical.
The worst culprit of that was the previous episode, where they literally just had a second half exposition dump, where all these characters who shouldn't know all this stuff are just explaining to each other what the story is.
Yeah,
nothing makes any sense. And I've said this about Picard, whatever. They can't even stick to their own internal continuity, let alone the continuity of Star Trek, which goes back 50 plus years.
Well, I love the flip. That's what I loved. That was where I posted the hashtag Romulans were right. Because the whole convoluted thing of they sent the sentient to Mars to start the attack, and the whole thing is just a bunch of convoluted mess now. It's worse than Discovery ended up being.
It's amazing that they were able to turn Picard into the villain of his own show. Like that revelation that the Zhat Vash are in the right and the synthetics are actually dangerous basically turned Picard into the bad guy from the beginning. And it blows my mind that nobody in the writer's room were like, oh, wait, maybe we should rethink this, because it makes no sense at all.
I liked when we got the vision, and you get the full, complete message that you're meant to see.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, organic life creates synthetic life, and then organic life gets jealous because synthetic life doesn't age, and then it tries to destroy it, so it has to defend itself. Really, is that what you're boiling it down to? Like, androids don't get old like we do, so we get jealous and try to kill them. Like, I'm pretty sure it's more complex than that.
Well, no, even worse than that is the fact that this message that has been driving Romulans insane for years, a message which has made them create a secret society, is essentially a phone number.
Yep.
Much.
Like, what are your digits?
All right. Let me posit a question to the panel. How does an android learn the fucking mind meld?
Oh, that was
Wi-Fi.
That was one of those moments where you just throw up your hands and say, "That's it, I'm out of here." Because I mean, it was bad enough that they had like a Romulan doing the mind meld earlier in the season, but now that they're just having everyone can do mind melds. You just need to train long enough to do it. It's like
the Force. It's like the Force in Star Wars now. Anyone can have it.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my.
Even
fuck this shit, I'm out.
that didn't work, Tom. Here's my thing though. You know what? Even though that it's a lot of probably pseudoscience, but there is a logical explanation as to why Vulcans could probably do them to the mind meld, in that their physiology has them. They have more sensory receptors on their hands, and they're able to read the DNA because memory is stored in DNA, and they're able to, there's some explanation. A synthetic life form is synthetic. They have nothing. It's a walking toaster.
I think if you looked
Vulcan
at it
has
from
mild.
I think if you looked at it from a story point of view as well, like it was meant to be this slightly magical thing that they could do. It wasn't necessarily meant to be explainable, but there was a kind of supernatural element to it almost, that they could share thoughts with someone. But now when you imply that a machine can do it, like how does that fit in with that mindset and that storytelling device?
I mean, it doesn't quite make sense, because Vulcans have mild telepathy. Like it's been established in other iterations of Star Trek, and an android is essentially a walking mainframe computer. So basically, this new one has Wi-Fi that's compatible with organic life for some reason. It's nonsensical. I mean, it was ridiculous when Spock mind melded with the probe in the original series, but I mean, it was basically like he's just kind of decoding a memory unit. This is the opposite, where an android is trying to decode a biological secondhand memory, and she's saying like, oh, I'm the one that understands, and the Romulans didn't. But then by the end of the episode, you realize, no, the Romulans understood it exactly as what it's supposed to be. It's a two-part message, one saying that this other artificial alliance outside of the galaxy will come to the aid of synthetic life forms and destroy the organics that threaten them. And the Romulans being organic are like, oh my god, there's this other artificial thing outside the galaxy that's going to come and destroy us.
And I love Picard's realization at the end where he's like, wait a minute, you're not talking about all organics, are you? And they're just like, yeah. And he's like, oh, fuck.
No, just the ones that
I've made a
funny.
complete tit of myself.
Exactly.
What's surprising is like the whole show seems to forget that we've got the Borg anyway. Why are we doing this synthetic? It's like we've had the Borg for how many years? Why are we now scared of synths? Like the Borg are basically the same bloody thing. Like it's not a new
man the Borg.
It's gonna be
I've got some questions about this episode in general. Actually, first of all, what are the space flowers, and why are they?
They are actually orchids. They are actually flowers.
They are synthetic flowers built by synthetic people. And they
fly into space and they just kind of wrap around you and pull you down into the atmosphere of the planet. Why?
Come on now. We all know flower tech.
It was a planetary defense system, is what they said.
Well, they're all a bunch of hippies, aren't they? You thought they were
because
they are
flower power.
Well, I mean,
they're all named after
I'm
flowers.
thinking from the point of view of protecting a planet, right? Okay, you could probably grab a small ship like Picard's one and pull it down, and it's not going to cause any damage. But a Borg cube is like a mile across, and if you pull that down to the surface of a planet at like orbital velocity, it's going to go off with the force of like 1,000 nuclear bombs.
I think the flowers slowed its descent.
Somehow.
You're thinking about this way too much, Drinker.
You got to think this from person angles. Yeah.
And also, like, the cube lands on the ground, okay, and they're like, oh, it's crippled and it's just lying there, but we might be able to get the weapons back online. Isn't the whole point of a Borg cube that it can, like, regenerate from practically nothing?
Well, it
doesn't matter how badly you damage it, it'll just be back.
It's a decommissioned Borg cube. It's not technically operational.
I'm asking myself, they have an android named Sutra. Where's her sister Karma?
Oh, no,
she was shot already.
Her sister Jana.
Her sister was killed.
Jana Sutra.
I want to know, in regards to the Borg cube, where were all the Starfleet officers and science people that were on there?
The Trill and the Andorians we saw in the first
doing the Borg reclamation stuff. It seems like all those people and the Romulans disappeared before 7 of 9 trans-warped into the location. It's very strange. That's like a total plot thread that was dropped.
Oh, there's a bigger one there.
You might say it was convenient to the plot.
Yeah. It was. The other big part here is that after 7 of 9 disconnects from the Borg cube, she talks about how she saw where Picard was going to be and that Narek was chasing after and that the Romulans are on her way. And I'm like, those things don't line up story-wise to the beats of what actually happens. It's basically saying that she had like the Force and foresaw what was going to happen as the future.
Well,
decided to go through the transwarp conduit to save them.
I also, maybe one of you guys can answer this for me. So if 7 was plugged into the Borg cube and she was controlling it, how were the Romulans able to open that window into space that shot out all those Borg? Couldn't 7 of 9 have just kept that thing closed, locked them out?
Yeah,
he got that right. Like, how does it happen?
A bigger question there is why the fuck was she so? Why was she so anguished over the Borg flying into space? Because we've already seen that they survived the vacuum.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, there's so many. It's just questions upon questions.
Just beam them back in. Yeah,
it's a fuckery, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it is. It very much so is, and that's the biggest problem of it all.
My other big question is, why did the Zhat Vash decide to attack Mars before all the Romulans were properly evacuated from the supernova? Like, why couldn't they have waited until their people were safe? Because these are the people that they're supposedly trying to protect from synthetics. Why couldn't they have waited until the crisis had passed before they put this, Mars operation into effect, which basically ensured that millions of their own race would die? None of that made sense to me.
No,
they weren't logical. They're Romulans, and that you got to just run with it. That's what Shaban's telling everybody. It's like they're so terrified, they're so stricken with fear that they don't even think 2 steps ahead.
But
they have
enough planning to infiltrate Starfleet and create a fake
40
Borg
years
reclamation project
but not
to
save
lure
their own people.
Progy in there. Yeah, they have
and
enough
I was
foresight
asking
to do
myself
that.
the same question. Yeah, and that's the problem with the show.
Yeah, this is an awkward, like, two-pronged piece of backstory that the show has grappled with since the very first episode, and it's never worked properly because it always becomes two different things that kind of, instead of building on each other and complementing each other, they just distract you from each other, and you're never quite sure which one's relevant to a particular situation. And it comes across as something that was contrived for the sake of this show and making it work, not something that would ever logically happen.
The show has been contrived. Like it's almost painful to think of that every aspect of this show is just stupid. It was contrived, and to know that there's a Pulitzer Prize winning author at the helm of this thing, that you have Oscar winning screenwriters involved in this, it makes you wonder who. What are these awards worth? Because the writing in this show has been consistently terrible.
We've long time known that the Oscars means fuck all. Come on.
Yeah. I think one of the problems they've got with this is there are too many characters and nothing to do with them. Elnor you could take out, Jurati you could probably take out, and you would have a much leaner show with at least a smaller group of characters that you could do more interesting things with.
And even the characters. Yeah, even the characters they have aren't very good. Like I was just thinking about, like the last episode where Seven shows up, Deus Ex Machina style, and Elnor runs and hugs her. And I'm like, these two characters have had like 2 seconds of screen time together. They had no emotional connection. I have no idea why these characters feel like they have these like strong bonds, like they've known each other for years. The same thing went with the last episode where everyone, it seems like, very broken up over Picard, revealing his terminal illness. But Rios doesn't know Picard all that well. Raffi has some history with him, but Girardi, she's just, she doesn't have any relationship with Picard. So, every character interaction in this show feels forced, and it feels like it's feeding off of what the audience knows about the characters as opposed to what the characters themselves know about each other.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest problem is when we hit that the twist. The problem is the twist makes every last thing before it fall apart. And you're right, Matt. You're sitting there asking all these questions as to why the fuck would the Romulans take the time to set up this huge fucking thing in Mars when they got their own people to worry about? Did they let the supernova happen just to make themselves victims? What the frick was the point of that then? And we spent a good half hour of last week's episode, Rob, going over the whole Borg cube thing. We're like, we kind of broke it down like a maritime law thing. And we were all still trying to figure out, because it seems like everybody knows about it, then nobody knows about it. Then you got Romulan chick all worried about killing Hugh because he's quote unquote protected by the Federation, but then kills him 10 minutes later anyway. And it's like, you've got all these things that are just like, why? And then you get to this twist at this last part, and Agnes is like, yeah, I'm gonna go with the androids and be on their side. And
what's the deal with the Romulan Empire? Does anyone know?
Nope.
They've got 216 warbirds, active, fully crewed warbirds on the way. Yet the neutral zone has broken down. There are refugee planets that the Empire has abandoned. Yet there's still treaties. There's some type of infrastructure. It's like, what the fuck is going on with the Romulan Empire?
They're going to do Orville. Somebody pointed it out in the chat. They're right. This is the exact same plot as last season in Orville. You have the robot character whose race is coming, and you think they're good, but then they turn against us. It's the same fucking twist. So then Soji's going to have to turn around and save our ass. Just like, what's his face? Help me out here, Rob, the robot.
Like Isaac saved in
did
on
the Orville, yeah. And how do you... I guarantee you this AI that's coming to save the androids is fucking Control. How much you want to...
I've been saying that since the beginning.
We all have. Because they got to tie it into STD.
But how about this, right? So remember they revealed the Golem in last episode and mind transfer. So what do you think are the odds that Picard's going to get his mind transferred into a new synthetic body so they can replace Patrick Stewart with a younger, less expensive actor?
I was
going forward.
That's probably going to be the case. I mean, and they're bringing up a story idea that was introduced in the second season of Star Trek with Ira Graves, who transferred his mind into Data. They're just recycling an old story we've already seen before, and they're just using it for the benefit of a cheaper cast.
But fuck Thaddeus Stryker, right?
Yes.
Riker, I mean, not Stryker, Jesus.
Roger.
See,
Roger Corby.
when-
What made of in the original series? Yeah.
When I heard
Sorry,
about this idea of like this race of machines or this race of synthetics that existed kind of beyond the realm of the galaxy that we know so far, I always hoped it was going to be the aliens from the Star Trek the motion picture that V'ger encountered. Yeah. I don't know if they would go that far back to try and tie it into something like that, but it would be kind of cool if they did.
I'm just expecting the Reapers to show up. I mean, they've ripped off Mass Effect so far. This far, why not just go all the way?
Yeah, the fascinating fact about Star Trek Picard is it is one of the few shows I can confidently say it gets worse with every new episode. Like, that's really hard to do. Eventually you get one good one, like just by accident, but not in this case.
And it's so sad to see like the character of Picard fall from grace like this, because like I think he was at his best in the first episode, but every episode since, like, people have just like he's been an asshole. He's been kind of ineffectual. Like in the last episode where he's like, I'll be your advocate. I'll get Starfleet to listen to me. It's like, dude, Starfleet fired you. They accepted your resignation last time you tried to do this. What in the world? I just kept thinking sheer fucking hubris, over and over again. He's such a pathetic character now. It's sad.
Yeah, it's such a weak position he's in to try and like persuade them. It's like, you've got absolutely nothing to bargain with, sir. Like, you're not going to win them over with this. And yeah, like I've said before, this show feels like Picard isn't even actually needed in it. Like, you could pretty much take him out, and it feels like most of this stuff would happen anyway. Like, it's like it was written for someone else in mind, and they just put Picard in to give it a friendly face.
That's kind of what I've been saying for weeks now. They probably had the concept for the show already written, and they just plugged Picard into it.
Yeah,
and Patrick Stewart
even on the bridge of Rios's ship, he's always sat off to the side at a meaningless console that does nothing. Like, he's just baggage 90% of the time.
Like, it almost feels like if Rios was a better character, this should have been his show. Like we could have had that whole backstory with him, like his captain killing, Soji's sister and then killing himself, and then like see his like descent into being a scoundrel and not caring and kind of shucking these Federation ideals, and then him like Raffi coming in and saying we need him for like a mission, and so like throughout the course of this thing he learns the truth about what happened to his past, his tragic past, and he becomes like a heroic character. Like, it feels like that's what this story should have been, and instead we're just getting old man Picard doddering around doing bad French accents and stuff.
He has a stroke, and then afterwards he kind of regains his confidence again, only for them to all patronize him for the rest of the episode.
What was that thing that he was muttering after they crashed? Like, was that like a weird like?
No, it was like he was speaking at an event.
You mean when he was having the heart attack or whatever?
Well, no. After the ship crashed, he was passed out, but he was saying something like "Welcome, friends" or something like that, and then like they took him to the sick bay.
Where the cyberneticist gives him an exam.
Where the murderer was left alone with him.
Right. But she's done killing people now, remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she feels bad about it. And she's going to throw up a few more times, because they never seem to get tired of making that actress throw up for some reason. But
3 times in the last episode.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God, just stop.
Remember the red velvet cake throw up? That was particularly... nice.
And when she gets the mind meld for the first time, and her response is to just throw up everywhere for some reason.
We need a supercut of Girardi throw ups.
But when Picard first did that, I actually thought that they'd somehow possessed him, like the synthetics on that planet found a way to talk through him or something like that, because he had this weird sort of disembodied sort of voice when he was saying it. I don't know if that was just strange. How I took it.
No, I picked up on that as well, and I was thinking that maybe like the fact that he has some type of like connection to the Borg where he was assimilated at some point, that gives like the synthetic brain network that they were able to clone data out of, like some type of inroads into, taking him over or something. I don't know. It's all very strange.
It just seemed to me that he was kind of reliving a past moment where he was giving a speech at a seminar or something. Like, that's what those words were about. Like, oh, I'm so happy you're all to be here. Thanks for coming. Like either it's a birthday or it's a seminar that he's about to do a speech, and he's just kind of reliving that because he has a brain injury of some kind, or a brain anomaly of some kind. So Irumodic syndrome is what we were told about, where he's reliving parts of different times or something like that. It's all weird.
No, that makes a bit more sense, actually. Do you think this Locutus thing is going to go anywhere? Like, he keeps encountering Borg who refer to him as Locutus, but then nothing ever gets said about it. But
he's going to plug into the Borg cube, and he's going to save everybody's ass with the Borg.
And he's going to sacrifice himself doing it, and then at the end of the last show, they bring up the golem with Picard's brain in it.
Which is going to be ironic because that's exactly what they needed to save Thaddeus, you know. That's the funny part.
Yeah, and I think like Brent Spiner's new character, he's got more interested in it because of urgency, meaning that Brent Spiner's his character's probably gonna die as well.
It's probably a robot. There's a lot of people who think it's either lore or just an android, even though he claims to be the living son.
If it's lore with a brand new skin, that would be too smart for this show.
That's the thing, is I don't think it's going to be lore, but I do think it's going to be another android.
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the show.
Maybe
so dumb that it's like, oh no, it's Song's son.
Oh, no, it's so like unfocused.
I know,
all of these things should be good, but like they're just pushed into the periphery by this bullshit overarching plot that we've got to deal with. Seeing Brent Spiner and Patrick Stewart together should be awesome, but then it's just a minor thing that happens in amongst all this other stuff. The only time I was invested was when he saw Riker and Troy. I was like, oh, it's nice seeing these actors together again. It's kind of like a little bottle episode. Not an awful lot happens, but it's just nice seeing them acting together again, and it felt engaging.
How terrible does Picard treat Elnor? Like, the daddy issues this kid is going through because of Picard are just off the charts. Like, so like he's abandoned Elnor like 3 or 4 times in the guy's life. 2 of those times when he was facing like certain death. And each time like he leaves him. Like the very last thing that he says to Elnor is like, "I'm dying. Goodbye. You're never going to see me again." And Elnor's like, "No, wait. I want to come protect him." He's like, "No, you stay here. I don't want you to be with me."
He doesn't make him do it, but he allows him to go ahead with really dumb ideas. This is the thing, like, he must realize this character of Elnor is not smart. And he's not the kind of guy you should just allow to go with his instincts because he's really dumb. So, like, when he's like, "Oh, I'm going to stay behind and cover your retreat," or "I'm going to do this or that," and it's like, no, you should come with me because I'm going to tell you what you should do, And
remember how the first time we meet him, Picard gives him this big speech about not killing people. And then he goes around killing people again. Picard's just like, to quote Drinker here, "Nah, it's fine. You can kill people."
Well, here's the funny thing. Elnor literally has the intelligence of an actual sword. Like, point him in a direction and just stab him somewhere, and that's Elnor. Like, that's how they write him. He's just a weapon with no.
Well, it's just because he's a white man, even though he's Romulan or whatever. He's still
I'm pretty sure he's played by a
white
gay
man.
actor.
So let me
doesn't matter.
Let me ask you guys
something. He's a terrible character.
Yeah, he is terrible. But let me ask you guys something. So in the episode before this last one, or 2 episodes ago, Elnor finds the Fenris Ranger emergency alert tag on the Borg cube, and that was something that Seven gave to Picard in case she ever needed him or he ever needed her again. But I don't remember Picard giving it to Hugh or Elnor. So how did it end up on the Borg ship for Elnor to use?
I think he gave it to Elnor in that one episode, didn't he?
I watched the episode through and he never, because Elnor.
Well, I thought it was the episode before it though.
I don't remember him doing that.
This is Hugh's own Fenris Ranger tag that he must have gotten in another story that we'll never get to see because...
Okay, then yeah, because I'm trying to remember now, because I do remember, I thought it did, but I could be wrong, yeah.
No, because I think the first time we see that, like, Elnor's hiding, and it's just hanging there from this console, and he reaches out and touches it, because apparently he knows what it is, and it says, like, Fenris Ranger distress beacon
who did she give one to before?
She gave it to Picard. But Picard never gave it to anyone else.
I thought he gave it to Elnor, but you're right. Maybe I just deduced that in my head. That's very plausible.
She gave it to Picard, and then the first line that comes out of Seven's mouth when she saves Elnor in Hugh's office, which is kind of the location there, is "Where's Hugh?" So that is supposed to have us do the work to assume that Hugh and Seven have a history. She gave him a Fenris Rangers tag when he came aboard this reclamation project, and now it's been used because Eleanor found it while hiding out in Hugh's office.
Maybe that's the problem. I keep creating exposition in my brain that doesn't exist just to make this show make sense.
And how did Seven get on the Borg cube to begin with? Because wasn't that thing like when Picard showed up, he needed permission to approach and actually get on there?
Matt, stop asking fucking questions. Just watch the goddamn show.
Once again, a ranger. She can sneak in like a spy.
Once again, it comes back to what I'm going to call. It's going to come back to what I'm going to call a drinkerism from now on. He goes, doesn't she need special clearance to get aboard the cube? Nah, it'll be fine.
Nobody will worry about it.
Yeah.
She's Borg. She should know how those things work. She knows the back doors to everything.
She's the magical bullshit device, to quote Drinker.
That's Deus Ex Machina for you. That's this entire thing. It was just like Discovery. We're starting to sound just like we did when we were talking about Discovery. Because every time we turn around, we're like, why? What the fuck just happened? Why did that just happen? Why did that person do that? Why didn't that person do this? You stop too often to ask these questions, and that's where the show stops dead in its tracks. That's why I can't honestly look at somebody who says this show is good, though, and think that they actually are being serious, because I don't understand what the fuck is going on most of the time. Like I just said, I have to make shit up in my own mind just to make it make sense. I mean,
the show relies a lot on headcanon for people to make sense of it.
So what do we think where the fuck do we think this is going to go from here? We kind of touched on this a little bit, but I think we really need to kind of figure out what is their end game here. Doctor or go ahead, Critical Drinker, since you got an idea, obviously.
I mean, the Romulan fleet's going to arrive. The Borg are going to use the reactivated weapons on their cube to hold them off to some extent, but eventually they're going to fight their way through. And I think Soji is going to have to use whatever powers she's got to summon this extraterrestrial force, these wraiths of synthetics that are standing by to help them, that are going to come in and pull everyone out. And they're either going to annihilate the Romulan fleet, or they're going to neutralize them somehow. All of the synthetics are going to go with them and disappear, and they're probably going to cure Picard somehow of whatever illness he's got. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Soji is the key, the key to everything.
Yeah, Script Doctor, since you're a writer, where do you think this is going?
I think there's going to be a conflict between Sutra and Soji for most of the episode, where Soji is eventually going to betray Sutra and kill her and close this portal that's going to open up the doorway to the synthetics. I think the DS9 Armada is going to, or sorry, not the DS9, the DS12 Armada that Picard asked for is going to find out where they are and come to the rescue in this giant space battle for 20 minutes where you're not going to be able to make heads or tails of what's going on because they're seeing giant orchids. Rios' ship flying circles around everything, not getting hit for the first time in its entire adventure.
The Van Halen one.
Yeah, there's going to be some sort of Commodore O's ship is going to explode in a massive display as Soji sacrifices herself or kills Sutra, closing that portal. And then Picard is going to also sacrifice himself somehow, but as his body is decrepit and dying on the side, they transfer his consciousness into the golem that Brent Spiner's character made for himself. And he's like, no, I'll give it to you, Picard. And it's going to be there's going to be some revelatory speech where it's not Soji that was destroyer, it was Sutra, and Jana was the peaceful one, and to wrap everything all up. That's probably where I see it. Oh, and Narek is going to be part of the crew now, redeemed for some reason.
Matt, our second writer here, what do you think?
I'm so over this show, I don't even care at this point. But I'd have to agree with Drinker and Script Doctor because, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're setting up, a very specific kind of finale. And but I just have no faith in them to actually do it well. So I'm just trying to think of the stupidest scenario possible, and that's probably what's going to play out. But I guarantee you it's going to involve Patrick Stewart as Picard somehow sacrificing himself, having his brain transferred into that golem by Jurati, who's trying to redeem herself for killing Maddox. And Soji betrays her own kind to save all organic life, and she has some type of reconciliation with Narek. So like, you know, there's that kind of like weird romance going on there. And yeah, you know, it's just going to be a bunch of bullshit, whatever that happens. So,
Mr. H.
Don't know. I mean, where can you go from it? I mean, let's be honest. Like, it's so up and down. I mean, ultimately, there's going to be some kind of a. Well, I'm trying to think of what they've set up previously that they've actually paid off, which is not an awful lot, right? So they've teased that 7 of 9 could basically be a Borg queen, but they never went anywhere with it. So maybe that's opening the door for Picard to do it, because they keep saying Locutus. So there's that element. But again, probably not, because they don't go anywhere with these elements that they keep introducing. They just go, oh, that's cool. Show it for like 2 minutes. Bye-bye. I mean, ultimately, Soji and Kama Sutra will probably have some kind of showdown. One will be, titled The Destroyer. But I don't understand what this fucking extraterrestrial life form is going to be. I just keep thinking that they've got the Borg. So why are they so afraid of these new ones? You got the Borg in this universe, for fuck's sake. What trumps the Borg? Like, very little trumps the Borg.
Control.
Very little trumps the Borg. So yeah, I don't know.
But you know what we found out is that before, the thought was that because of the rise of synthetic lives, that's what's going to pull in this outside threat. But it's actually not. It's the threat of the organics that they pose to synthetic life. So the question becomes, like, why didn't this outside force come earlier, as soon as the Borg showed up and just wiped out all organics? Because they're like, well, we exist to protect synthetics, so we need to get rid of the organics. Like, why didn't they just do this sooner? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Well, the Borg is weird because they're cybernetics, so they're organic and synthetic, the mix of both worlds. If anything, that's like maybe they're kryptonite.
But that's why, again, I think maybe they're going somewhere with that. So maybe it was like an older message, whereas they're like, well, we're just going to wipe them all out. But then they tried, and then they couldn't do it, so they just, assimilated everyone. Do you see what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't kill the organics if they're also part synths. Yeah, like you have a logic error for a synthetic species that just decides to kill all organics to save the synths.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I do think Brett Spiner. I think there's something going on with that character. I mean, it's a wasted opportunity if he's not Lore or someone like that. But it's poo-poo. It's caca. It's a shit fucking show.
Rob, what do you think's going to happen?
I think we're going to see Lore. I think we're going to see Lore as head of the synthetics and this higher power, and like everything Alex Kurtzman does and Akiva Goldsman does, you set up all this convoluted shit, and it's going to have an overly simplistic explanation as to why. It's going to be wrapped up.
There's going to be an explanation? I don't think there's going to be an explanation.
I was going to say, you forget that he'd have to actually watch more than a couple episodes to see Lore or LOL.
But everything is they're going to try to wrap it up with an overly simplistic explanation that falls completely flat. Like, oh, everybody just forget about what you saw everybody just forget about the mushroom drive. And, oh, yeah, don't talk about Mikey Spock going into the future. Yeah. But what about all this? No, don't talk about her. You're not supposed to talk about her.
Here's the thing that...
No, don't talk about it, Tom. You're not supposed to talk about it. Don't you know that?
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's my thing. Is we're all forgetting one major thing that we've all pointed out from the beginning of this show. Every woman is bad and wrong. Right? Until the twist. All of a sudden, this twist makes, this twist makes... What's-her-face, the captain of the Starfleet thingy, right? Because, Captain Hubris. Because, okay, here's what's going to happen. She's sending a bunch of Starfleet, right? You got 200 and some of the Romulans coming, right? You got this force from outer space that's supposed to come and help the androids, right? So you're all right. We're going to get this big old fucking battle that lasts for about 20 minutes and nobody can tell who's what or where or when or why, right?
Yep.
And you're all probably right that it's going to boil down to the Borg, and Picard's going to hook himself up, And I think you're right that this outside force, which is probably control from the future and the past, because we don't even know where it comes from anymore. Because remember in Discovery, they don't even remember where it comes from anymore, and they think they destroy it, but yet it still exists. I don't understand. Yeah.
I think
somehow Section 31 got it and uses it.
It got sent back to the past is what happened probably. And yeah, and so anyway, so like you said, that the Borg, so Picard's going to control the Borg, they're going to fight, you're going to have all these big fights. Soji and Kama Sutra are going to face off. So she's going to beat Kama Sutra, and then everybody's going to beat the fucking bad guys with the Borg because they don't know what to do, like you guys. That's basically what's going to happen.
And it's going to be easy to defeat Kama Sutra. All she has to do is stab it in the eye, and because you don't repair their synthetics.
No. We gotta have
they're dead automatically.
Well, this is an interesting thing. Someone just pointed out. Lacolem1 pointed out. So they're all fucking part organic anyway. So what the hell is this whole story that we've just been building to? Like, they are all part organic.
You're not supposed to ask that question, Mr. H. Don't you know that? This is Alex. This is an Alex joint. You're not supposed to ask anything. You're not supposed to demand anything more than what we give you.
But yes, the big bottom line is going to be then Agnes is going to fucking sacrifice herself at some point and get Picard in that body, like you said, because anybody who knows with any writing that she's done too many bad things to live.
Hardly. They left her. They left her unattended.
She killed one person.
She
killed an old white man. She's okay.
But now she switched sides too.
But they left her unattended with the synthetic.
I know, but it doesn't matter. She's going to sacrifice herself.
She admitted she was going to do it all. I can't believe
she's the one who's actually going to sacrifice herself. Agnes is going to be the one, or it's going to be Rios to save her. One of the two.
Remember that?
No, I think because they've built up this romance between Agnes and Rios. I think she will sacrifice herself for that tragic.
What romance?
That extremely forced and awkward romance that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
The post-murder hookup.
Too much. I was like, what the fuck?
No, Rios dies as the hologram.
You had sex once, mate. Fucking hell.
And she probably threw up during that as well.
Probably. You spit or swallow? No, I throw
I've
it
never been with a man under 60.
Agnes, I haven't felt this way about anybody in a long time.
No, I think Rios is going to die,
cake.
And it's the holograms that just live on in his memory, because I think that was part of the leaks, like way back.
Yeah, it was, and that's what I was saying. I think he's going to sacrifice himself for her or something like that. Yeah, because they got to still redeem her yet, because she went and
where were the holograms?
Do you think Rios had the holograms on a train on Girardi?
Oh yeah.
Where was the weapons hologram when they were in that fight? These holograms are supposed to pop up when there's immediate.
Oh, they couldn't activate it because Soji was in his seat.
Oh, of course, fucking
remember the androids turned the power off.
No. Before all of that, they were having the
when Narek decides to, for some strange reason, start attacking the ship instead of just pointing his disruptors at the settlement and blowing it from space.
Again, it's another drinkerism. Aren't the holograms supposed to pop up whenever they're needed, like in an emergency or when there's a battle going on? Nah, it'll be fine. Again, another drinkerism. Oh Lord, that's this. They, like I said, you're not supposed. Again, this is for people who expect very little and who don't ask questions of their entertainment. Unlike us, who question everything.
It's not even so much that we question everything. It's just we want stuff to make sense.
Yeah.
If there was just a basic fundamental logic to the show, then it would be fine.
That's right.
It would be bad, but it would be, bearably bad. But because it's all over the place, it frustrates more than anything else.
Yeah,
look at Sonic the Hedgehog
as well.
This is
the
problem,
fact that it's not even entertaining.
Yeah. The problem is that it fails at all these different aspects. Like Star Trek used to be, the action scenes, if they ever did them, were pretty cheesy and low quality. But it was a show about ideas and pretty tight, well-constructed plots that made sense.
And characters.
That was its strength. Now what they're trying to do is they're trying to take it into this realm of like conspiracy theory, thriller kind of thing, set in space, set within the Star Trek universe. It's like, okay, you can do that, but you have to have a well-constructed plot that hangs together really well, and it's well-paced and everything. And it doesn't manage to do any of that because, as we've established, none of the things make sense that happen in it. It's all just contrived, whatever was going to fit with what they needed it to do at that particular time. That's what they did.
And this is less of the Picard where it's like the line must be drawn here, the principled, diplomat, captain, leader, guy who, lived and died by his ideals. And it's more of the dune buggy Picard who's just like, fuck it, let's just do whatever. It's very, it's so inconsistent with everything that came before it that even casual fans are watching the show and they're just like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, I think the Picard that we've got now is the worst of both worlds. Before in the TV show, he was very principled, very diplomatic, and very smart. In the movies, he was very driven, very action-oriented, and he was a reactive type man. But now you've got neither of those things because he's not capable of doing action anymore because he's too old and he's passive. But also, he's not particularly principled, and he doesn't make any particularly smart decisions. He doesn't command authority like he did in the TV show. So you've got neither. You've just got a guy called Picard who doesn't bear any relation to either version that we've seen before.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And to go back to your point earlier, Matt, it's like, yes, all we want is something that makes sense. Look at something like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a kid's movie about a blue hedgehog who can run fast. Okay, but I was entertained for 90 minutes because you made me believe the plot. It wasn't overly complicated. It wasn't a bunch of horse pucky thrown at me. I didn't get a bunch of, exposition as to why this thing even exists. It came from a magical land. That's all I need to know.
But it's not like Star Trek hasn't had bad episodes in the past.
No, but the whole conspiracy business has been a part of Star Trek. Wasn't that a big part of Enterprise's plot too?
Yeah, the temporal Cold War.
Temporal Cold War. But the problem with Picard and all of Kurtzman Trek is that it's not just like one or two episodes that are bad. It's the entire series is flawed to its very core, and they just keep doubling down on it. And you're just sitting there wondering, what the hell are these people thinking? Why are they doing this? They obviously aren't fans of the material.
Kurtzman is a hipster. He thinks he's smarter than he actually is. I mean, just you ever talk to a hipster at a party? He reads one chapter of his history book for his History 101 class, and then lectures you for an hour and a half, and this says, "Yeah, but you probably wouldn't understand." That's the whole thing. These are people that think they're smarter than they actually are, and they're trying to present something to us, and they're sitting there, and they're putting it out there, and they're saying, "Huh," And when we say it doesn't make any fucking sense. You just don't understand.
I'm wondering how much of this is Kurtzman's fault, and how much of it is Chabon's fault. Because Chabon was the showrunner, right? And I don't know how
he replaced Kurtzman. Yeah, he
replaced because Kurtzman went on to work on some other projects. So I'm wondering, is this Chabon's error that is this to be laid at his feet, or is it Kurtzman, or is it Akiva Goldsman? I just don't know.
It might just be a combination of all three. Now, if you haven't, go Google a picture of Michael Chabon, and when you see him smile, that is the smile of a person that doesn't know where he is. That is the smile of a fool.
He looks like a stoned hippie.
Not even that. He looks like a guy who smoked oregano and thinks he's stoned.
LSD, yeah. Something just like shrooms.
Well, the introduction of so many legacy characters from TNG or Voyager or whatever, was that Chabon that did that? Or was that
No, he probably wanted more, and then they probably said no. That's my guess, is that as much as they want, because they had people visit the set who are not in the fucking show, who were on TNG.
LeVar Burton visited, but it wasn't.
And so did what's his face who plays Worf?
Michael Dorn.
Michael Dorn. Yeah, he was there too. So I mean, it's just they're doing it on purpose almost. And I think it's a lot of, somebody said, I can't remember who, but they almost said, I bet you $5 it's because Patrick Stewart don't want nobody in it but him.
Probably. All I can say is that Spock's brain is looking to be a pretty big masterpiece of an episode of Star Trek right now.
It certainly is.
It's unreal. I mean, it's really, I don't want to hate Star Trek. I really don't. No, none of us do.
Well, we're technically not hating Star Trek because this show is not Star Trek. There's nothing familiar about it at all. It's like someone peeled the veneer off of a wood table and then tried to put it over top of a plastic Fisher-Price toy and said, "Hey, buy this $1,000 wood table." And it's like, no, we can see right through. It's not real. It's just
bad sci-fi
artificial
with a
and
Star
hollow.
Trek skin on it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't even really have. Well, it has a few Star Trek trappings. You know, it has some names thrown out, but there's very little Star Trek in this. I mean, yeah, you could swap out anybody for the Romulans in it. You know, it could be the Phlebe. You know, for all we know. You know, it's just the people, and they just happen to give them the name Romulans. You know?
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like Star Trek interpreted by someone who's read like the first paragraph of like the Wikipedia entry for each thing in the Star Trek universe, and that's the level of understanding that they have. And it's like, okay, go tell a story. Okay, Romulans, Borg, extrasolar, synthetics, whatever. Yeah, go. That's all we've got. You know, there's just not that kind of level of understanding.
And then he strays Rings page for a couple minutes. Oh yeah, elf with a sword. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if you could go into the writers' room and you introduce the writers to the Memory Alpha website, and they'd just be blown away, being like, "Oh my god, there's this resource."
They know everything about Star Trek.
I was just using Wikipedia, which was just like small, like there's a smaller paragraph, but you can get lost for days in Memory Alpha because they go pretty detailed with a lot of their stuff. But yeah,
they don't read that shit.
No, of course not. No,
that would take time and effort.
They hired a whole bunch of people for a room to let them know if they were copying anything, and they couldn't even do that right. Because every plot they have is either stolen from something else or previous Star Trek anyway. Like you guys keep saying, we already have the Borg. This shit doesn't make sense. Why? Because Kurtzman wants to tell the story and he don't give a shit. He don't give a shit that we've already had the same shit in Star Trek. He wasn't there. He didn't watch it. You know, so he's not going to care. He just wants to tell his little fucking story and he's going to move on to the next thing. And you're right. Shaban came into this thing. I think it was 2 or 3 episodes in, probably. I know it was a little ways in, and he's been on it since like the second episode. I think his name has first popped up on there. But I think we all kind of concluded that those first 2 episodes were like 4 episodes crammed into one.
Well, from what we heard, Tom, the first 2. I'm sorry, to cut you off, Tom. From what we heard, the first couple episodes were unwatchable. They were so bad.
Well, not only that, then like you said in that interview, they said they got to episode 7, which is, you know, arguably one of the episodes that has all the exposition dump in it. And they went back and had to fix shit because nothing made sense. Well, and then now you have this twist. Well, and then you got Shaban. Here's the funny thing I was going to get to about Shaban. He's out there like left and right making excuses for this shit, sticking up for this shit. He's not even on season 2. He's already been kicked to the curb. Well, so why does he care? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, Shaban's doing Cavalier and Clay, which I read his pilot from the mid-90s. And his writing's pretty much on par with what Star Trek Picard is, so good luck with that. And then Kurtzman, he's still getting the money for whatever they do with Star Trek Discovery or Picard, but he's going to focus his attention on Clarice, and then that's going to be a whole nother shit pile to worry about.
They just need to stop giving him work. Like, legit. Kurtzman's terrible. He's always been terrible.
Yep.
What's what happens in Hollywood? You fail up.
Mm-hmm.
You fail up because you make good friendships in Hollywood. If you don't make any good friendships, you fail. You go.
Well, you know,
Well, you must be sucking some dick then, surely.
Probably.
You said you talked. I don't know who it was, and
A couple people, just about anybody I've interviewed, and if he's come up, they always say he's a great guy. He's a great producer. Everybody loves him. And that's all I can figure out is that he's just a big yes man and he does whatever people want. You know,
you can work hard and still be terrible at your job. I mean, it's not unheard of.
Yep. Well, Picard even says that sometimes you can do everything right and still lose, and the opposite is also true.
All right, I got Bulls Trek in the background here,
That's the only explanation for how Kurtzman's still getting paid. He's doing everything wrong, it somehow wins to get more. Bulls Trek.
What's going on?
Hello, everyone.
Yo, Bulls Trek. How you doing?
Hey, my friend. How are things? Did you enjoy new heroes or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I was so enthusiastic I had to make a video about it. I'm well pumped for that comic.
I just put up my video, and it's basically me laughing for 7 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. I saw it, and it's like I started laughing while I was recording the audio, and it's like, fuck it, I'll just keep it in.
You know, the funniest thing about that is when they're interviewing the creator, and he's referring to Safe Space as your typical jock. I'm like, what kind of jock wears like tidy pink undies and dyed hair and earrings?
Black trans jock, clearly. Come on now, have you not seen the black trans jocks that are floating about? They're everywhere.
Mr. H
You know it's going to be bad. You know it's going to be bad when he starts off going, I remember the New Warriors, and I always thought they were too cool for me. And you're like, what?
Yeah, he was talking about being intimidated by one of them because he was too buff or something.
It's intimidated by all of them. Intimidated by all of them. And you're like, you're going to put this guy in charge of this. Are you having an off? One of them looks like Dora the Explorer fell into a bakery and just could not stop eating.
And her superpower is a backpack.
Oh fuck! No! Check this. So I did a video on it. Right? Check this out.
A magical backpack.
Right. Two characters. Right? Two characters. One of them. Fat Dora has got a backpack of divine origin, a fucking magic backpack of divine origin. Right, okay, fine, whatever. From her granddad. What? Okay. Second one fell into a vat of internet gas by whom? His granddad. Has this guy been fucked with his granddad, do you think? He's got a weird thing about granddads, isn't he?
No. This is what I wanted to... Yeah, this is what I'm trying to wrap my head around. Like, how does internet gas work? Like, do you inhale this gas and then you're connected to the internet, or what?
It's just a melted battery from the hard drive. Melted battery from your computer, and you're just huffing that.
No, it reminds me of that Key and Peele sketch where it's like Stan Lee who's just coming up with all these like superheroes that are only relevant to old people, and it's like, there's technology man. He's got the ability to understand computers.
I think the funniest part of it is when they also say, oh yeah, because there's been a new law saying it's illegal to be a vigilante under the age of 21. So what?
Yeah.
So it's
anyone can just be a vigilante anyway.
Because vigilantism was legal up until
fucking hell. God. We're really leaning into it because these things we're not derogatory and we don't think they are, and we're not afraid of being dated. They genuinely closed that whole video with, "I'm not afraid of being dated." Are you having a fucking laugh? Dated. Mate, it's dated now. It's literally taken the internet memes, right? Snowflake and Safe Space are quite literally the internet meme of the purple, blue-haired, checkmark twats on Twitter and the black trans lesbians out there. That is literally a meme in and unto itself, and they're going to package it and sell it to people, and they're going to love it. They're going to gobble it up like they do each and everyone's cuck dick. It's hilarious.
This is the most tone-deaf thing I've ever seen. And did I kick Tom off?
Tom, well, he went there. He went.
Oh, now I've kicked Rob off.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Tom.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if Rob was going to jump off or whatever. Yeah, I do that to him on purpose.
Musical chairs.
No worries, guys. I don't have to stick around for the whole thing. I can give my.
We were
thoughts.
actually getting close to finishing up. So definitely tell us your thoughts on episode 9 of Picard.
Well, hello everyone. I guess my classy late entrance. So I just finished the episode. I am, to be honest, kind of perplexed by the show, and I get it's been a few weeks since I've been on with you guys. But last week we had 55 minutes where nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. It's like we have to come up with an episode, so let's just do nothing. And now we have the first part of the season finale, which is 43 minutes. So one would think if you had extra time, you'd want to allocate it to this. The only good thing I have to say about this episode, it was nice to see Brent Spiner again. Other than that, good Lord. I love the scene at the beginning with the terrible acting as they're going through their vortex thing. I actually laughed out loud when the drummer from Scott Pilgrim was hiding under a desk. That was a nice touch. I hate this cast. I can't stand this cast. None of them can act. They're bland, they're dull, and whenever somebody from real Star Trek shows up, whether it be Troy, Riker, 7 of 9, Brent Spiner. I'm assuming we've done spoilers already. It just reiterates how much they, for lack of a better term, suck. And Soji is supposed to be the center of this whole thing.
She's
and
the key to everything.
I'm distracted by how bad the acting is. So we had that. We had some very clear political messaging. I don't know if anybody else clued into that. They tried to do it very subtly. It was dull. And yeah, I am one episode left. I am in shock at how badly they managed to screw this up. They had a golden opportunity in terms of bringing back Patrick Stewart. If they would have done it 5 years ago, not now. They have actual Star Trek actors and characters that I'm sure would have been more than willing to do 10 episodes, and we got what we got today. So propaganda BS. Picard knows better than the rest of Starfleet. Starfleet is evil because they've become the Galactic Empire in 20 years. That's my summation of the episode. A bunch of political propaganda in the form of science fiction. Terrible acting. It actually almost causes me physical pain to watch Patrick Stewart week after week struggle through this, trying to play a character that he's no longer playing or that he's no longer capable of playing. And yeah, I'm just, to be honest, this series depresses the hell out of me.
Depresses the hell out of everybody else too.
I feel much the same way. I was just thinking about it as I was collecting my thoughts about this last episode, where I'm like, Patrick Stewart seems like such a tired old man. He doesn't have any of that vitality that Picard had, and it's actually sad to watch him degrade throughout this series and just ruin this character that he spent decades building.
Degrade. Did you see him try running up those stairs in the first episode?
Yeah. Well, there's the occasional random scene where we can see the actual Picard that we know, but they're few and far between. And I think I said this in the last stream, but what made Picard so important was Patrick Stewart's Shakespearean training and that booming voice. That was the character. Jonathan Frakes was the action figure. Well, he doesn't have that voice anymore. He's completely out of character. There's nothing in what I've seen in these 9 episodes that even remotely reminds me of Captain Picard. And I think my least favorite character is Raffi. My God. Just so miscast, so out of place. Just every line is just
stereotype.
I cringe every time.
Cringeworthy. Yep.
I cringe every time she calls him JL. I just want to yell at the screen, stop calling him that. That's not his name.
It's not just that either. What are we supposed to feel for this character? Because she's a drug addict. She's neglected her family, her son. And she belittles Picard. She's a conspiracy theorist. What are we supposed to give a fuck about this character? She's terrible.
I don't give a shit about any of these characters.
It's not
I think
clear.
at times they were trying to set her up as the cranky mother of the group. She's kind of drunk a lot of the time and she can't be bothered talking to anyone, and it's only rarely that she'll stir herself to actually do something useful. They touch on that, but then they let it go, and then they have her do whatever the plot actually needs her to do at any given time. So again, just a wildly inconsistent character.
And also, what's her relationship with Rios? Because supposedly they have some history together, but they never explain how they know each other or what they've been through together. They had that moment where Rios is explaining to her, about what happened with his previous captain. And you get the feeling like they've known each other for a long time, but we don't know anything about their relationship.
No. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way, but it's pretty obvious that they're making this up as they go along. And we're 2-3 episodes past the complete reshoot. So the backstories are undeveloped. The characters are undeveloped. The characters are unbelievable. And I know, as far as we know, Brent Spiner wasn't supposed to be in this at all until the end. So you could tell that his character was thrown in at the last minute. And it's like, wow, genetics, I guess, doesn't change at all in that family because they've all looked exactly the same for the past 200-300 years.
Yeah, the Soon family has some really strong male genes.
Yep.
or their family tree is just like a straight line. It's just inbreeding
They're all
constantly.
androids. That's what it is. They're all androids from Arik Soon and Enterprise. Everything afterwards, it's all just an android that self-terminates after so many decades.
That's what
think,
we'll find
I
out,
think-
that this new synthetic species is just a massive army of bloody Soongs. That's all it's going to be. You
It's funny you mentioned that because
God, it's going to be like Rimmerworld from Red Dwarf. It's like endlessly cloned.
Matt was just saying before the show how Brett Spiner had lied to me at Star Trek Las Vegas. I'm like, not really. It's just because he hadn't filmed this shit yet. He had no clue, probably. That's why. Because he told me the same thing that got leaked out like that same week that we didn't get a chance to get out before, was that Data was just a dream. And that was all he was done at that point. Because at that point, Frakes had only filmed one scene with Patrick Stewart. So we don't even know.
And it's
I'm
probably
guessing
the scene on the dock.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm guessing it was the scene on the dock because that's the one that was in the trailer. But anyway, I'm going to let Rob come back in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm back.
No, I think Bolstrick kind of hit the nail on the head with this one. Like, Patrick Stewart doesn't seem like he's capable of really playing Jean-Luc Picard anymore. You get the occasional flash of him, like maybe he's just seen from the right angle, and you get a glimmer of the original Jean-Luc Picard, but then most of the time he doesn't have the authority, he doesn't have that kind of inner strength anymore, and he just feels like Patrick Stewart, just being kind of himself.
Got to remember, Drinker, is that he didn't want to play Picard again. So he's very much playing the character that he wanted to play now. So this is all him, because they were trying to convince him to come back, and he said, no, not unless these things are met. So this is who he wanted to be, which is fucking ridiculous.
And
it's best just not bring it back.
B12 shots between takes just to like stay awake and get some energy, because he's just draining so fast.
It's the disappointing thing is there was so much potential for this show. Oh, hello, I see a puppy. But there was there could have been so much potential for this show, and say this had been under Rick Berman, Ronald D. Moore, Ira Bear, literally anybody that knew what the hell they were doing. They could have done something great with this show. And I think it's a mistake to make Patrick Stewart the central character, because he's not really capable of it. And if he was only willing to come back, if they would portray the character in the way he wanted, which is not consistent in any way that the character that we watched for 15 years from 1987 to 2002, then you know what? There are other actors that could have done it. Give us a Captain Riker on the Titan series. Jonathan
Riker is the only one who kind of feels like he was. Jonathan Frakes is the only one who still plays Riker as he was in the TV show and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and you know, he's older now, obviously, and stuff, but he still talks, he still acts the way he did back then. And it's like, oh, okay, that's why probably that episode was good, because it's like, I feel like I'm actually watching someone play their own character. Like, Jerry Ryan isn't playing 7 of 9 anymore. She's playing a completely different character now.
I can kind of, to a certain extent, forgive 7 of 9 being out of character, because the original arc was 7 regaining our humanity, but I still don't find this entirely believable, even compared to, you know, we have 20 years of development over through the character that we knew on Star Trek Voyager, but I still don't entirely buy it. But Jonathan Frakes, honestly, just lose a little bit of weight, dye the hair and the beard. We've got Commander Riker again. That's what I
come
want
over
to
the bald spot, but yeah.
Well, it's just ask William Shatner about that. It'll be perfectly fine. That's what I would have liked to have seen. But instead, we got this, and we all know this was all at the request of Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, but Frakes is a whore, and he would do whatever the fuck they asked him to. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I love him, but
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, he's not a guy that says no a lot.
No, well, he has directed a few episodes of that other abomination and 2 episodes of this. So, yeah, he is willing to toe the line, unfortunately.
Well,
But I
yeah,
would
he needs
take that-
something
I
to
would-
do because Jeannie Francis is still acting. So
I would take that though over like what Patrick Stewart seems to be doing, where he's not even playing his character anymore and just kind of doing almost like a vanity acting studio kind of session. You know, that's not what we tune into this show for.
yeah, and on
No.
top of that, even if it's vanity, he's not doing anything that would require effort or be profound in any sense of way. It's just kind of like watching him lounge around while everybody else sort of almost pulls off a character around him. Like they're trying their darndest given the lines they're asked to say, but it's just not landing, and everything just the pacing is just garbage. The structure is abysmal. How people are able to like understand or follow this and say, yeah, it all makes sense is beyond me. Share whatever drugs you're doing so that I can enjoy it like you, because it just doesn't. It just makes my brain hurt.
Yep.
They're too high on the snake weed.
Yeah, I think I'm having a stroke as I'm talking about this right now. To be honest, it's just I have all these words and I can't formulate them into
Like,
a coherent
honestly,
sentence.
Honestly,
remember when you used to watch Star Trek and it would kind of make you feel inspired, and it would almost feel like you got a new perspective on things, and you think, God, it shows me what human beings are capable of. Like, we are quite a remarkable species. And that is a great thing to aspire to. You watch Picard and you just think, oh God, what's the point? I just want to go home. I'm tired.
One of my biggest gripes about this show is like there's this fundamental philosophical shift at the core of it, where the entire front half of the season, people were talking about space like, you want to go back into the dark, you want to go back into the cold. Space is so empty, space is so cold, and you contrast that with classic Trek, where it's like space is the final frontier. This is a boundless possibility. This is boundless discovery. This is stuff that is going to help define us. And it's just such a stark contrast with what we're getting from Picard, which is so nihilistic. I mean, even like, where you have Picard who's trying to stick to his ideals, and you have a scene where Seven basically flat out says that he's old and naive, and that's not the way the universe actually works, and completely just undercuts that hopeful message of optimism and a bright future for humanity. And that's the thing that really bugs me the most about this show and the writers who are behind it, is that they have this very dark outlook of how the universe is supposed to work, and I don't like it.
And
it's the same one.
Yeah, I think it's the same feeling you got from The Last Jedi, where it's like everything that was built up has now been smashed down.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, oh, sorry, Rob, go ahead, man.
I was about to say, but that's what the audience wants. We always hear, the audiences want something more mature. They want dark and gritty. Well, we're seeing dark and gritty doesn't fucking work all the time.
Well, here's the sad coincidence, which obviously wasn't planned, but I've been a fan of Star Trek since I was a kid in the 80s, and Star Trek has always been, well, until now, a message of optimism. And it's really sad that we have what's going on in the real world right now, which is unlike anything we've ever seen, where things are as dark as they've been. So you want some escapism, and Star Trek had always been that. And I'm watching Picard today, and I'm like, my God, this is making me even more depressed. So just when we need that Star Trek optimism, we're getting the reversal of that.
Yeah, just to piggyback a little bit off what Matthew was saying, the philosophy is half thought out of by these writers. They're thinking of space as cold and dark, but the miracle of it is that they explore, and when they find a new species, that species can only live in warmth and light, because that's part of what makes life work. You have a star that's at the sweet spot of a planet where it allows light to flourish, and it's that discovery in this vastness of death, or potential death, a threat of nature, that makes the exploration of that final frontier worth it, because all you see is a black void and stars of little brightness, little points of light that maybe, hopefully, there's something else out there that we can share and exchange ideas and grow beyond in this against nature. It's basically a versus a nature thing, because nature is trying to kill us all the time. So the fact that we can go this far and explore new elements and new areas of the universe, it's supposed to be encouraging that we can persevere over anything. But here it's just like, nope, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
all
was
bad,
that spirit.
meaningless.
It was that spirit of adventure before, where it's like we know that it's dangerous and it's harsh and it's
Right.
difficult to survive out there, but we're prepared to take that risk because that's what we do. You know, we are a species now which has turned our eyes to the stars, and we're taking on this challenge of exploring the galaxy, and that's what we're capable of. But now it's like, nah, it's too hard. Let's just no, I don't want to do that. It's scary out there. Let's just stay here.
Where's my security blanket?
Final frontier. Now it's the eternal oppression.
Well, like I said, a much better setup for the show would have been Picard finds out he ain't got much time to live. He gathers up all his buddies, and he just wants to go star hopping. He doesn't want to die on Earth. You know that, and he just finds himself in a bunch of adventures. And then, like I said, if the show goes well and it's a hit, best thing is you find a cure or a positronic body you can stick him in. But anyway, Paul's track. Just when you hopped in here, we had just all given our predictions what was going to happen in episode 10. So tell us real quick what your thoughts are on that, and then we'll hit super chats. So if anybody needs to take off after that, we'll give everybody a proper exit here.
Well, I think we're going to see a complete turnaround. I think it's going to be brilliant. I think everything that we've seen in the last 9 episodes will turn out to be a dream, and we're going to wake up on the Enterprise. That was sarcasm. Well, I predict it's going to be dull. I'm now going to call this SJW Picard because that's essentially what he is. It was pretty much confirmed this episode. So we're going to see the Romulans and the Federation terrorize our robot planet, or whatever it was called, the android planet. And that's all that's going to happen. So Picard is trying to reach out to the Federation, claiming that this is a first contact situation. And we know exactly how that's going to turn out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Federation and the Romulans try and exterminate these people. It's going to be dark. It's going to be bleak. It's going to be depressing. It's going to betray everything Star Trek stood for up until now, well, up until 2005. It's political propaganda in the name of science fiction. And like I said, it's not too subtle as to, I don't know if you guys caught what they're trying to hint at in this episode, but I'm sure everybody did. So, yeah, that's my prediction next week. It's all going to be bleak, and Starfleet is going to betray Picard. And I still think we're going to see the president of the Federation. We'll see if that happens next week. And that is my bleak and depressing prediction. Yeah.
Well, since Rob is muted, I'm assuming he's away from the computer. We're going to hit some super chats here. Did anybody need to check out before we do that?
I'll probably drop off now if you don't mind, man.
No problem, man. It's always a pleasure having you guys here. I know it's getting real late for you over there too, Mr. H. So check out Mr. H Reviews, one of the best YouTube channels out there. He does some great news and commentary, so do check that out. Anything you want to plug before you go?
No, not really, but thank you. Really appreciate that.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll talk to you real soon, and it's always a pleasure to have you on, Mr. H. And of course, also check out the Critical Drinker as well. Also has a lot of great commentary and stuff like that over there. Anything to plug before we go, Critical Drinker?
Well, it's probably occurred to me that we've all got a bit more spare time at the moment, so we might be looking for movies or TV shows to watch. So I'm going to try and do some more positive stuff over the next week or two.
Don't
recommend
do
that. Nah, it'll be fine. Try and recommend some stuff that will keep people entertained for the foreseeable while we ride out the current difficulties.
Yeah, well, and Mr. H Reviews, I've actually been watching you for years, but I believe this is the first time we've been on a live stream, so it was nice to finally be able to speak with you, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I'm flattered. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And Drinker, it was nice running into you again, my friend, and I know we'll be speaking again very soon. It's interesting times.
Yeah, it is indeed. Always a pleasure, Both Trek. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to have you here, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, if not next week, to finish off this whole thing. And I think I'm going to badger Andre to make sure he finishes up so he can at least give us his take on the last part of the season here. So, again, thanks for joining us today.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. I'm going to go away now.
All right. Take
Great
care,
chatting
gentlemen.
with you guys.
right,
Go away
bring
now.
Rob back in here. And yeah, so let's go through some of these super chats. Rob, start at the top, and we'll.
Can I just
go
say,
on
I
down.
think
Yeah,
we need
sure.
to have Critical Drinker on every live stream.
I try as much as possible. The man is a I'd say national treasure, but he's not from America. So.
He's an
He's a
international
universal treasure, international treasure. There you go.
When he's sober enough to get on a live stream, get him on there.
Hey, when he's even drunk, even better.
He belongs to the world.
That's right. And of course, Mr. H as well. Always a pleasure to have him on too. And Bowles Trek, thanks for finally joining us here. The last part.
Hello,
We
I do.
appreciate it.
I apologize once again
No,
for
that's
being
all right.
late, folks. I was been an interesting day. I was out doing errands for my parents who are in quarantine. Put out a
sorry to hear
video
that.
on. Well, just watch it. It's a video where I laughed my ass off for 7 minutes straight. I just kind of gave up on my script. It's the new Warriors thing, which is just. Yeah. But no, I got the Tom had sent me an email. I'm like, do you want to come on? I'm like, yes, but I have to watch the episode first. So I watched the episode, then
Real quick.
on. So yeah.
No, we appreciate it. So yeah, Rob, why don't you start with the first super chats there, and let's get rolling on those.
We got one from Sister Harrow, $5, Australian. So, I have come to realization that the writers have not seen one Star Trek movie or series. We agree.
Yep, I think that's, or at least they've seen Measure of a Man and the Cage, and
they saw the J.J. Abrams movies,
they saw the
films.
movies. Yeah,
They're not even accurately representing the films and movies that this is supposed to be a sequel of. So that's that's on my top 10 list of things that I find absolutely hilarious about this disaster.
right.
I couldn't stop at 10.
Oh no, that would just be my top 10. I literally could write an encyclopedia.
Oh yeah, you could go on for hours about this shit.
Okay, we have Stephanie Littlepage, $5. I watched as much as I could of Picard, then buried my nose in one of Anne McCaffrey's novels called Damia. Okay, I'm not familiar. I think my mom reads Anne McCaffrey. Okay. We have Matt G, $2. Picard mind melds the audience. Does that count? Mind melds.
Mine melds or melts?
I think it melts.
Yeah, mine melts. Yeah.
Oh, no, I could see the mind meld because they lack such an understanding of Star Trek. Yeah, I'm sure mind melding is a human thing now. Just give it time.
Yeah, that twist, the mind melt. Oh, this last episode made Robert Meyer Burnett break his brain too.
I need to talk with him about this.
Yeah, I love his takes on the these recaps that he does of these shows, because he's very pointed in his criticism, and he comes from it from such a place of knowledge and appreciation of the source material. And this last episode, he's like, I can't even review it. I can't even do it.
I know he rarely reaches out to me first. I mean, we chit chat from time to time besides, but this time he did. He's like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, it's Kurtzman. I swear to God, he's punking us at this point.
Yeah,
and so definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, as from my heel versus babyface had been trying to review it, he dipped out 2 episodes ago. He can't suffer through this anymore.
But he's still watching Batwoman.
Well, I am too. But Batwoman, it's too comical.
Yes.
Then you got lesbians.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, they do, but it's not the fun part of lesbians.
I know. I'm just being facetious.
Let me ask everybody here. What is it with a lot of this modern writing and storytelling where they just let the bad guy walk away, walk right out of the room scot-free? They did it several times on Batwoman. They did it on STD, and I fully expect them to do it to some degree on this.
Well, they already let Eric go.
It's lazy drama, and also they can't afford a foot race on most of these budgets anymore.
No.
So it's really just them trying to convolute their way into keeping the villain and antagonist for as long as possible without actually doing something that's logical or entertaining to wrap up that story and introduce a new one.
I actually had someone on Twitter today try to justify their defense of the show by saying that Picard only has 10 episodes. I'm like, that's 10 hours for them to give you answers to a lot of these issues. It's like, if 10 hours is not enough time to properly tell a story, whereas most movies can do it in 80 minutes to 2 hours, It's like, what are you doing with your life?
I was gonna say that's technically more time than we've had in the Genesis movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
They let freaking Mirror Giorgio on the final episode of season 1 of STD just walk out of the cave. You let a genocidal maniac loose upon an unsuspecting
They made her
galaxy.
the head of Section 31. What the fuck are you talking about, Rob?
Yeah, and you rewarded her with a cushy government job.
That's because that's all these people know how to do is fail upwards.
Yeah, it's partially ideological as well. It's a rebuking of law and order to a certain extent as well. So everything now has to have some kind of message.
Yeah.
The message is it's garbage and shit.
That too.
But yeah. Speaking of Robert Meyer Burnett, we're definitely we may have to do this next week, either earlier or later, so we can try and get him on too, because I want to get him and Andre for sure. And we'll take it from there. I want to get their takes on this.
Adam Walford, $20. Thank you very much, Adam Walford. They stole it from Mass Effect universe, where the Reapers would come in the galaxy.
Yeah, wasn't. Oops, sorry. Go finish it.
To keep from making AIs the only way for machines to read organic minds if the nanomachines are inside you.
Yeah, wasn't what's his face over on Red Letter Media pointing that out in their review?
Yeah. Rich Evans.
Rich Evans.
I still have to watch their last review. I haven't seen it yet.
It's not so much a review as just like an unhinged rant.
I was gonna say, I think they're. I said funny thing. My comment on there is, you guys are starting to sound like us when we were reviewing Star Trek Discovery.
It's the Plinkett reviews used to be very well thought out and structured, and now like they're just like, fuck it,
Well,
like
that's
we're
kind of
just going to talk about stuff.
Because I tried to start this out structured, and there was a little bit of structure to it, and it's just like at a point you just got to go fuck it, because the show does. There's no real,
but it goes even like in their latest review of the Red Letter Media guys, they're talking about coronavirus and shopping at Smith's or Costco, and they just intercut it with them talking about old Star Trek episodes, and they barely talk about Picard. And when
that's where we got
always about Alex Kurtzman. They just flash.
That's what I was saying. It's starting to sound like us.
You can tell Rich Evans just doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't want to be talking about it. Mike's just forcing them to be there.
I'm starting to believe the rumor that Rich actually does listen to us, though, or at least watches the main channel videos, because as much as he talks about Alex Kurtzman and shit and some of the other stuff, it's like you almost think he gotta at one point.
Matt G, $1.49, a white unicorn with a rainbow hair.
It's a tag of the corns.
Tag of the corns.
Unicorn pizza.
Rianne, thank you, Rianne. $5 to my peeps and my crew, the sheriff. Thank you very much.
And it came through twice, even though she didn't mean to send it twice. So technically, she gave us $10. So yeah.
So that's another one. Okay. Helva XH834 $4.99. STP is a mess because it tries to parallel all the social political world problems going on today, and we're all problematic if we don't like it. I'm just problematic.
I was in a stream last night, and a commenter said Star Trek Picard pays, quote, homage to every sci-fi show except for Star Trek.
We're all just a bunch of angry white men.
Yeah, right. I like this. Tom said we're being punked. This is the new version of being punked, where someone takes a fireworks punk and keeps stabbing you with the glowing hot ember on the end. Yep. Yeah. Pretty much. Next super chat, Rob.
Salsa Shark 01, $5 Picard.
I love that name. That's a Clerks reference.
When 900 years old you are, act as good you will not.
When 900 years old you are, act as good you will not.
I'd rather just have 10 hours of Picard driving around in a dune buggy.
Dune buggies!
Yes.
51.
That's right. And $5 from Captain Hare. I look forward to Rob suffering when they have a giant stupid ship battle. Like I'm not suffering already?
Right. No, it's coming, and that was my part of everybody's thing. But like we all said, they're gonna have some big giant ship battle because the Romulans are showing up, the Federation's showing up.
We didn't even cover. I'm sorry, Tom. We didn't even cover the fact that the Romulans have all these ships, and yet everybody is abandoned on this planet.
It doesn't matter because you got this big and artificial intelligence thing showing up to kill everybody, and Picard's
Through
going
a
to plug
portal
in.
we saw in Avengers.
Yeah, Picard's going to plug into the Borg cube, and they're going to.
So the question is: so they have 217 Romulan warbirds en route to this planet, and that's what the Zhat Vash, the secret organization, was able to drum up to meet their goal. How many of warships does the Romulan Empire have, and where were all these ships during the evacuation? That's what I want to know.
They were in the shop getting the oil changed.
I mean, you'd think that because warbirds are huge, they're about the size of like the Enterprise, right? So if you have
there's
200,
warbirds and then there's the Derek's class. So we haven't seen any of the Derek's class. We just seen these giant, big, flat warbird things.
So like if you have over 200 of those, how many people could they fit onto those ships in order to evacuate them?
Several thousand, and they only have to just get out of a recalled radius, because remember, Spock stopped the Nova from spreading any further, so it's got a point of an end point somewhere. So you just have to evacuate.
How many times have we said with beaming technology it could be done in an afternoon?
Yeah,
you're putting way too much thought into this, guys. You're supposed to just consume.
Yep,
like
zombies. Bye. It's all toilet paper, man.
Father Ancient Pindo. Let me give you another one of those, just because. $5 Canadian. University writing courses are focused on deconstruction stories rather than classical understandings of heroic movement.
Yeah,
you're right.
It must be. It must have happened after I left college, because the last lessons I learned is like how to build up a character.
Those are literary writing courses that he's talking about. Like you need to take the technical writing courses where they talk about things like plot and structure and characterization and stuff, and
how
like
to
that.
meld those three together to work cohesively throughout a narrative.
Take a Robert McKee seminar once in your life. God damn it.
Yeah, he's your introduction to writing, and then you just go further and further than that. I mean, it's easy to do. Buy his book, Story. It's a great book.
It's a fantastic book.
I've been thinking about
it. But that required reading, and these writers on Star Trek Picard don't do much of that. They do play lots of video games, it turns out.
They play one video game, Mass Effect, over and over again.
Well, they can't play the other one because the poor guy hasn't released it yet. They just took the idea, allegedly.
Has anybody here read The Hero of 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell?
I have, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, is that not getting taught anymore? I mean, or do everybody think that's just passé? I mean,
the Clips notes are getting taught. I know that.
Yeah, it was never actually taught. That was something that George Lucas kind of just randomly kind of latched onto, and it kind of permeated throughout.
And most people don't even realize he didn't even read that until after Star Wars.
But that the Hero with 1,000 Faces has been condensed into this book called The Writer's Journey, which is also excellent. So you don't have to read Hero with 1,000 Faces to learn the lessons. You can read this book, The Writer's Journey, and it's just as good, if not better, because it kind of breaks it down in plain English as opposed to like the deconstruction of the Greek myths. It tells you how you can translate that into more general storytelling stuff. So that's another big one that I recommend to people who ask me, like, how do I become a better writer? How do I research or learn about this stuff? So it's always Story by Robert McKee and The Writer's Journey, which I think are two of the best.
Sorry.
And then after that, find screenplays and read them.
Yeah.
Or just read in general. Read books.
Yeah, read in general. Yeah.
The best way to learn how to tell a good story is to read a good book and see what they do and think about how they do it. Just like learning how to make a good movie is about watching good movies and seeing what they do and learn how they do it.
All right. Well, I think we're caught up on the super chats then, unless anybody comes in clutch here at the last minute. So let's wrap this up. It's been 90 minutes of torture. Bulls Trek. Tell them a little bit about yourself, what you got coming up, anything you got to plug.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Bulls Trek at various things. I've got a YouTube channel where I only talk about positive things, so it's very uplifting. So I'm sure you'll all enjoy it. I have a Twitter
That's why
account.
You hate videos, right?
Oh yeah, I've gotten, I don't know, like 4 or 5 in the past week.
I just saw one this morning.
Oh, really? Which one was this?
The one with the crabs.
Crabs?
On an island. Because I thought you were done talking about Doctor Who.
Oh, that's an old one. Oh no, much more entertaining stuff came out this past week. But yeah, so I'm on Twitter. My Twitter account is if you're bored, just come over and just search my name, and it's Everybody Loves Me. So the good news is if you like my videos, well, like many people, I am not working my day job for the next few weeks because, like everything on Earth, it has been shut down. So I am back to temporarily doing full-time YouTube. So this is the first time I've had two videos within 2 days and months. So I've got lots of fun stuff. I'm working on my next woke Batman review. I've decided to bring those back. I'm not going to be doing, because I didn't have time to review the Picard episode by episode as they were airing. I'm going to do a full season overview, so I'm sure I'll have nothing but nice things to say about this wonderful show. Yeah, so that's me. I am temporarily, for a few weeks anyway, back to being a full-time YouTuber.
All right. We got a couple more super chats here, Rob, real quick before we move on.
Real quick. Let's see where we go. Oh, Captain Spire. $5. The Quartering reported on a college professor of a game ethics course who had a degree in gender, not gender studies, just gender.
What the fuck?
What the hell?
From an accredited college?
I was gonna say so. I'm not gonna say it. Anyway, yeah, that's why we get shit like the New Warriors.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, I know everybody's brought this up, but that was the first thing I said too. This looks like a parody that Ethan Van Sciver came up with.
Yeah, it really does.
If it was a parody, I'd be interested in it.
Exactly. That was my point. They did it on purpose so we couldn't. And they just made this in the process, they just made this horribly horrific comic that just made it even more juicier because now we just get to make a million videos making fun of them.
Apparently, Ricky Gervais has also chimed in on it.
Oh, good God. What'd he say?
I don't know. I haven't seen the response yet, but he has. I've heard he's had.
It's fucking stupid. Why people do this stupid shit? I don't understand.
I just like that they have a superhero whose power is a backpack.
Dora the fucking Explorer is a goddamn superhero now.
What she got in there?
And she's ate too many Twinkies. Fucking brilliant.
What she got in there? A McDonald's? Jeez.
Safe space.
Now, Matt, you've met me in person. I keep saying this. I am not supposed to be in better shape than a superhero. Dear God.
It's not her fault that
you're a fearless leader.
Good.
Safe space, man. This is the hero to end all heroes. I like the fact that she darts into action or whatever it is. I'm like, I don't think is it a he?
Safe space is a he.
It's a
Safe space is a he, and his
Snowflake
sister is
binary.
Safe space is the they them one.
Don't assume that gender.
Snowflake's the they them one. Yeah. Safe space is the typical jock who can protect other people.
Oh wait, no, I'm mixing him up with. Yeah, I was mixing him up with Trailblazer. I don't know. They all just kind of meld together at this point.
Trailblazer wears the pink hoodie and yoga pants.
Yeah, I have. I'm gonna have nightmares.
Don't forget the backpack.
Well, no, not just a backpack. It's a magical mystery backpack.
Yeah, passed down through her ancestors,
along with internet gas.
Called screen time.
Yesterday after the announcement, I just saw on Twitter there were just all these people saying WTF is internet gas. Nobody knows what it is.
Adam Wall for $2. Hey, I think you missed my super chat. No, we got it. We got it was the big one, 20.
The Mass
Adam Wolford, they stole it from Mass Effect universe. The Reapers would come in the galaxy to kill off organic races to keep from making AIs. The only way for the machines to read organic minds is if the nanomachines are inside you.
Yeah,
I need a fart sound effect.
Don't need a sound effect.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah,
No, you got to make it like digital sounding fart.
Yeah, I'll work on that. Digital gas.
Oh, I've got a free version of AutoTune for Mixcraft. Maybe I could do something with that.
Now you tell me you have AutoTune?
It's a free plugin. It's a free plugin.
Oh,
you probably
Gertie. We could have been doing all kinds of crazy shit with that.
I might need that. Maybe I'll start singing my videos.
Speaking of Ricky Gervais, how was my Ricky Gervais? Was it pretty good?
Awesome.
Good. Yeah. Very British.
Bonus track. What is What's Professor Dinkle's gonna think about? Think about some of the stuff going on here.
Professor Dinkles is planning on doing another video. He's perusing topics right now, but Professor Dinkles may be taking a trip to Twitter in the near future. So we'll see what he thinks. I don't know. He's in quarantine right now, so I can't go talk to him.
Uh-oh.
All right.
All right, Rob. I think we've wasted enough time on this fucking show.
All right.
Kurtzman.
Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. Check out these nice people's channels. And
we didn't finish everybody yet. Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. We got to let Matt and Script Doctor go yet, too. Matt, tell everybody about yourself. That's my fault.
Matthew Kadish, author. You can find me on Twitter at Matthew Kadish. And I have a new book that just came out today. It's a sci-fi Western, kind of like Firefly meets Lethal Weapon. So if you like either of those two things, this is kind of a combination of those two. It's called Lawman, Rook and Berenger, Childhood's End. You can find it on Amazon.com. And if you go to kadishbooks.com, it'll take you right to my Amazon page, and you can find it up on there. And we're going to be having the audiobook version out as well. So you can check that out if you're not into reading. And you can check out my other books at kadishbooks.com, and you can check out my YouTube channel at kadishvideo.com.
All right. And Script Doctor, tell them a little bit about yourself, where they can find you and anything you got to plug.
Okay, I am the Script Doctor. You can find me at youtube.com/scriptdoctor. My episode 8 Picard review is dropped yesterday, so feel free to check that out while I work on covering episode 9 and not die. I'm also on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD, and you can find me at streaming with these wonderful gentlemen on Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. So pay attention for that.
Speaking of After Dark, I'm not sure if we're going to do one tonight. Well, we'll probably do one this weekend because we got so much stuff. I'm sure Rob wants to eat at some point here today.
I always want to eat.
I know you do.
It's
your supper time. You're getting antsy, I'm sure.
Eating, sleeping, and farting. That's my natural
So we'll definitely do something at some point here, but you can check Rob and I out later on Marioki and all over the place doing other kinds of other stuff, including Midnight's Edge After Dark, which is where you can find all the fun, goofy stuff we do live all the time, all week long. And, of course, check out our latest videos here on Midnight's Edge as well. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat. Thanks to our panel, including Mr. H and Critical Drinker for joining us as well. Hit that like and share button. Until next time, fucking pray for us. Rob has internet gas. This is true.
Yes.